Have you had the opportunity, Mr. Jackson, to view this correspondence previously?
No, I haven't. It's from, I believe, 1998, is it? Well before my time on the governing body.
I'm referring to the last week, Mr. Jackson. Have you had the opportunity to look at this correspondence?
I've been caring for my father. I wish I could have had time to prepare properly, but I haven't been able to. And I assume the Commission was wanting to know what I could contribute personally from my experience. So, no, I haven't had a chance to read all these.
Yes, well, I'll take you through it, Mr. Jackson. You'll see this is a letter in April 1998 from the Australia branch to the Governing Body Service Committee. Now, I understand, of course, you're not on the Service Committee, but you'll see that Australia branch says we are replying now to your letter, and it's referenced concerning the possibility of putting something in writing on the subject of confidentiality and the law in relation to child abuse matters. We appreciate the opinion of the writing and service committees, and we thank you for the opportunity to comment further. We're sorry to be so long in replying, and so on. And then in the next paragraph, up till now, the brothers generally expect that the elders will keep all matters confidential. Since this has been stressed a number of times, in Australia, it has happened that some elders have been prepared to accept punishment for contempt of court rather than disclose confidential information. However, we are now saying that elders should comply with the law where mandatory reporting is required if there is no exemption available to them. And then in the next paragraph, it has been suggested that the following be printed in a question box in our Kingdom Ministry. It would be necessary to schedule it as part of the service meeting program unless we simply ask the presiding overseer or another elder simply to read the question and answer in the announcement part of the meeting. And then what is proposed is set out. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that.
And then you'll see there's a reply to that letter at tab 96.
96.
On the 24th of July, 1998.
Okay. I see that.
You'll see at the foot of the page, it's from the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania for the Service Committee. And it references the letter of 28 April 1998, referring to the suggestion for a possible question and box in the edition of our Kingdom Ministry. And then it says, after carefully considering the matter, it has been concluded that if the branch committee in Australia continues to recommend publishing the suggested material, then it would be appropriate for the branch to feature the suggested question and answer as outlined in your letter. It will not be necessary to schedule the information to be considered on a service meeting program. We'll leave it to the brothers to read the information presented. Now, what that suggests, and I'm providing you with the opportunity to comment on this or answer it, Mr. Jackson, what that suggests is that even matters of that detail are, firstly, as a matter of practice, put to Bethel in New York for approval, and secondly, require such approval or consent.
This particular instance, obviously, the brothers in Australia wrote to the Service Committee. But if I could just mention, the importance of this to us is that the governing body gives direction with regard to the church services or the congregation meetings of Jehovah's Witnesses. And this, I assume, and this is the first time I've seen the document, is asking if they can include this in the actual program at the Kingdom Halls. And I assume from what's said here, the governing body has, or the service committee of the governing body has given direction on that. But if I can highlight, the reason for that is it involves our spiritual programs.
Now, in making decisions on the publications, I understand from what you say is that you're guided by the scriptures.
That is correct.
And that involves, obviously, interpreting the scriptures from time to time.
That is the role of the governing body.
And am I right in understanding that the governing body's interpretation of the scriptures on any particular point might change or develop from time to time?
That is correct as well.
So I think some examples might be, for example, firstly, the question of blood fractions and whether that is or isn't covered by the prohibition for the receipt of blood transfusions.
That is correct as well, but if I could just mention, when blood transfusions were first introduced, there wasn't a lot of options with regard to blood fractions.
Yes, but my point is, or what I'm seeking to understand, is there was an interpretation at one point which said that members of the Jehovah's Witnesses should not receive blood fractions, but in more recent times it's been accepted, as I understand it, that there's no specific scriptural direction on that, so on blood fractions, that is, so that's a matter for the individual conscience of Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's right, and Mr. Stewart, if I may mention, this is an example of the desire of the governing body not to go beyond the scriptures. Clearly we have the direction in Acts chapter 15, 28 and 29 against blood. But if I could also mention, you see, as with anything in the community, more and more knowledge becomes available medically. It can be very overwhelming trying to see all the latest medical research and so on. But the governing body tries to make sure that they don't go beyond what is written. If we see that a direction from the scriptures has perhaps been used too broadly, then we're the first ones to try to correct that.